That means that firemen use this camera to save people. This is the real deal. So again, they will carry this little attachment for their cell phone and they'll just pop it on there. So I always do a quick demo with all of these devices. So you should be able to see me in there. I'm the red, orange, and yellow guy. So that means I'm the hottest thing inside the picture. Sorry, fellas. Oh, look, I only got 2 guys to compete with tonight. That's cool. So my bridal parties, that like goes over really well. Like half of them are drunk. It's a good time. But anyway, my wife hates that line. She's been dying for me to get rid of it. But she knows. I don't know. This is just my personality. But really what we're looking for in this camera, guys, is the blue and black spots to move on their own or to take shape. So it's really weird. I normally only capture about 4 to 6 things average with this guy per year. But in the past month, I have 2 already. So again, it's been kind of crazy stuff. So we're literally looking for those blue and black spots to move. There is a blue dot bouncing around the screen that's kind of giving us the coldest spot in the frame at the moment. So it's going to be bouncing around even when you watch your video. It's helping to direct your eye on where to look. So again, there's going to be nuances with this guy as we kind of move through the night. And I will tell you, as I assign all of these devices out, I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit. You're going to have questions. Hang on to them. So the reason why is because I can pretty much answer them by the next spot where I go through each device over again with one-on-one hands-on experience. So with this said, Kyle, it's all about you. So
all right.
You're going to hold that horizontal all night long. We're going to do a few starts and stops with that throughout the night, only because as great as the hardware is, the software sucks. It is recording now, and I do that purposely, so that way everybody gets the how to watch it kind of mentality of it. When I say to go ahead and restart it back up again, you want to make sure you're in the same horizontal position with the camera wire side to your left. So it just kind of keeps that in mind. Otherwise, the video will be sideways. We'll all be watching like this. I got to hand out your phone number. It's not a good deal. So.
Glad you're the one that signed up for this, and not me. She's got the hard one. I don't want those.
Actually, that's one of the easier
ones.
ones.
Now we're in trouble.
This crazy Ghostbuster-looking thing. I like to get both cameras out like right away so that way we kind of all know what we're working with. So this guy, I'm going to do a quick demo with it. You should not be able to see me in the camera, right? It should be pretty, I know it's small, but it should be pretty dark in there. So we are going to turn on some lights. We are working with full spectrum IR lighting, which basically means that this camera is emitting light that you cannot see with your own eyes. It is, obviously we have a long range and a short range. So again, the hope here is that we're going to be able to capture something we wouldn't normally be able to see with our own eyes. So like that's the whole point of this camera. It's not recording yet just because it kind of has to get used to the temperature around us. GoPros are very touchy with that kind of stuff. So I will kind of give the cues for this particular device. But Danielle, I think I'm going to go with you on this guy.
Okay.
It's real easy. Okay. And to be honest with you, it's very hard to capture stuff in real time with that.
Yep.
So again, it's all about the next day's video. So we're going to capture probably 30 to 45 minutes of video with this guy, and that one will probably give us a good hour to an hour and a half. So just depending on how long we spend in these spaces. Now that both cameras are out, I'm going to give the warning with this. People do not like their cars being filmed, and they don't like to be filmed themselves. So if I do the let's act casual, you're going to basically be holding your cell phone, and then you're going to point your camera directly at the ground. Again, we are going to be in spaces where people's cars are parked, and again, even in between spaces, I'll say, let's not film while because otherwise you're short, you're going to capture everybody's butts anyway, so we don't want everybody's butts along the way. I'm sorry, did I call you out like that? I did. So I'm kind of a jerk sometimes. You guys can call me too, it's fine. I'm short for a guy, it's cool. Alright, let's get into these spirit boxes, because I have plenty of them, and they're all different. So, spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. So, oh, I just got your attention, didn't I? Yeah, look at that. So, this is kind of like the white noise you guys see on TV, right? And it's basically the host will put up in the middle of the screen what he thinks he heard, trying to convince you of the same thing. We're going to be doing that in real time. Now, what they're capturing on TV, those are rarities. Those are disembodied voices. We slowed these down on purpose so you guys actually capture something. There's another method we can use. So that method is allowing the radio chatter to come through. So, spirit, like as far as like the DJs, the song lyrics, the commercials, that's what we're listening for on these particular spirit boxes. So it's going to allow little tiny words and phrases to come through. Whatever you hear, we need to know what it is, because the 2 people, I have 2 of these I'm going to be handing out. 2 of the people that are going to be using these are going to have earbuds in. They're going to be the only ones to hear it in real time. However, this one I'm handing out right now is going to record. So that way you guys will have a full recording of this back tomorrow morning. I will spot check it. And by the way, there's 8 of you, which means you're probably going to record 6 to 8 hours worth of data. I am not going to go through 6 to 8 hours worth of data. So I do like to watch TV and read books, you know, but at the same token, I'm going to go through it for about 2 hours and give you obviously markers along the way to kind of, and I'll also give you links to be able to verify our findings. So again, it's not about because your tour guide told you so, it's all about what can we actually prove. So, because you got so stoked, you're getting the first one. This is going to be a fun group. Alright, so I'm going to plug the earbuds in because sometimes that pole is hard to find. The only thing you'll have to worry about is the volume button. You can mess with the volume as much as you want to. Most people just keep one earbud in so that way you can hear me too.
Yeah.
And that way if you want to turn it up and down because it's too distracting, that's perfectly fine because the recording stays at one even level. So it's wonderful. I love this device.
Perfect.
So you're going to have to undo the twist tie,
Yeah.
and your volume button is right where my finger is. It's a wheel.
Okay, cool.
And I don't want earbuds back because earwax is gross. So we don't want those. I buy them in bulk. The wife makes fun of me because when they come up, I have like 6 months worth and they come in a giant box. And I literally just keep 4 or 5 pairs with me all the time. You also looked very excited about this one, so we're going to go with this one with you. But yours is not going to record, so I'm going to have to rely on you on what you hear. I keep a little notepad with me, so the devices that don't record, I still take notes throughout the night. So you'll see me pull out my little notepad like a little nerdy writer guy, because that's exactly what I am. I'm going to make sure we're on the right speed. Perfect. So again, what you're listening for, song lyrics, DJs, commercials, whatever you hear, all the little tidbits. And you don't have to like scream things out in the middle of a story or anything like that. I'll come to you and say, what are you hearing? Like, what do we got? So, all right, I'll plug in your earbuds. And then we got to get something over to you guys, don't we? You guys want to be part of it, right?
So I just gotta put it down like I'm looking at my phone.
Yeah, just put it down. Like you're
All right. So
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I got you one of these because she told me how excited you were about this.
So is this something that will you'll just hear like words or something, or like how does it? Oh.
Yeah, so basically,
You'll just hear
your volume button is the wheel at the top, just so you know. So basically, the spirit box it's a 50-50 shot that I can tie it to the location of where we are, a person we're talking about in history, or even something going on with one of us.
I gotcha.
Like it happens all the time.
Gotcha.
So if you hear "buy it now," I want to know that you heard "buy it now." Like
And
that's
what stock?
Yeah,
Right?
I know
Give
exactly.
us some tips.
Sure.
We'll take it.
Let's see. The next spirit box. So this one works a lot differently because we don't have to listen to it. That's the beauty of it. So it's going to give us a word from time to time in the center of the screen. So it has the word saving right there in the middle of it, and it's going to save all of those words to a list. They're all time stamped, so I know exactly where we are at any given time. Now, this is a phone app. It's meant to be a game and a hoax. 80% of this is going to be garbage. It doesn't mean anything. It's the other 5 to 20% that I'll be able to tie it, location, person, one of us, give you reason why it's actually relevant, and then give you the backlink to be able to prove it. We're looking for very specific things in every location to be able to tie it up. So again, there's certain things that come up out of these spirit boxes that I don't know what it means. So I have to look things up and keep researching. So we're gonna go with you, Miss Tenley. That's all about you. I don't want to see every word that comes up. I will come to you when I want to see the list. Otherwise, we'll be out here till 4 in the morning. So, yeah, we're good to go. She's like, I can do 4 in the morning. Yeah, this one's a little crazy. This one's brand new. So, Betsy.
Yes.
Making sure I got names. This one works a lot differently. This is going to sweep through both the FM and the AM at the same time. It's going to take out the white noise. So we're going to get little tidbits like that from time to time. You might hear about 10, maybe 12 things throughout the entire night. About 75% of those are going to be relevant.
Okay.
Like, this thing has been very accurate for me so far. I've only had it for about 5, maybe 6 weeks total. So I'm going to mute it for now. So the mute button is right here on the right-hand side.
Okay.
That's all the blinky lights at the top. So it's on the right side. It's the only button there.
Okay.
So there'll be certain places where I say it's a little distracting for me. Can we go ahead and put it on mute?
Okay.
So that's how yours works. It's the same thing. You're just waiting for words to pop up. Who we got left?
Me and Joe.
Perfect. All right. So you guys have seen these on television, K2 meters. These are going to measure electromagnetic fields. So the way this guy works is it's going to pick up any kind of signal from cell phones, wiring, buildings, that kind of thing. So this one kind of helps me debunk things straight up ahead of time. So if I see it going off, I'm going to look at it, see where the pattern is. And if it's a pattern, it's probably from something man-made. All you have to do is let me know when the blinky light goes off and tell me what color it is, because I already have those memorized, and I'm going to measure it against another one that's going on.
Okay.
It's also going to kind of help, I'm sorry, I lost your name, sweetheart.
Julia.
It's going to help Julia know when to stop, so that way she knows when to actually ask questions.
Okay.
So, Joe, you're my multitasker.
It's Joe.
So, this has 3 different functions to it. This is called a mel meter. So, the first top big numbers are basically an EMF meter, just like Alex. So, in the event you see anything above 2.5, I want to know what's going on, because 2.5 is her second green dot. So you and I are going to kind of measure things and debunk things as well. The bottom is ambient temperature. If Kyle finds something on his camera, you and I can debunk it or prove it rather quickly. It's using the yellow ambient thermometer at the top. The last thing that it has, and we only use this in certain areas, is it has a motion sensor. So if something gets close to that antenna I just pulled out, it will go off. The closer it gets, the higher the pitch, and there's an array of colors in there. So I point it down because it's super bright and everybody will be blinded, and then you guys will be cursing me out the rest of the night. So I'm going to shut that off for now. We'll talk more about that at our next location, but for now, just focus on those red numbers.
Yep.
All right, everybody's geared up?
Mm-hmm.
All right, go have fun. Let me know what happens.
Just walk all around.
I know, right? Let's go walk all over the city. You'll find stuff. All right. Ooh, what is that smell all of a sudden?
I feel professional.
You should.
All right.
Like, this is the real deal.
So this you'll eventually turn on?
Oh yeah, I'll show you how to do all of that. All right, so let's talk about why we started here. Well, I guess let me get another disclaimer out of the way. If there's a skeptic among you, I don't want to know who it is. The reason being is because I'm going to use Kyle. If Kyle's my skeptic, I'm going to focus on him all night long, and the rest of you are going to miss out on what's going on in real time. We're all here to have fun. Let me keep my focus on the whole group and not one person. Fair? All right, perfect. Big John's place behind me. Ooh, you guys are going to have me talking all night. Let me get some water first. It's my job to talk all night, isn't it? So, this place used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy, hence the name. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Now, when I tell you the history of a building or a location, I will always slow down on specific keywords that often come up through your spirit boxes. There's a spirit box, I think, in every single group. Yes, I did pretty good tonight. I didn't even plan that out. It just worked out that way. So, spirit boxes, you're going to have those keywords. Here, so far, it's 1947, New York, and Giants.
Should I unmute?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm still talking. It's my show. Hang on.
Okay.
Kidding. I know, I'm a riot. Wait till I get going. So, anyway, Big John used to sit in the back of this bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, coming this way, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in. They're not old enough to drink. He has the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty angry, and they come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the building. Now, Big John sees what's going on. He slams down his beer, and he gets up and just starts pounding these guys into the floor. I mean, just beats the hell out of them. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, and the bullet lands behind him into the wall. John gets up after being shot. He was the only one that was shot, by the way. Goes back to the bar, looks at the bartender, get me another beer, get those 2 guys an ambulance. Now, here's the funny thing of the story. Nobody died in that story, so what's haunting the place? It's the bullet. It's allegedly still here. Even if the new renovation of Big John's that we're now looking at filled it in, Big John's blood is still in this building. So, people that sit in the front of this building tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, headache. And a lot of that, I get stories from you guys because you ate dinner there because that's where I told you to meet me. So, with that being said, this is your heated warning. Fingers crossed, we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight. I don't know how it's going to affect you. If anybody feels any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately. It's a big deal. So, again, that way we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. Is that fair?
Fair.
All right. That's probably the scariest thing I'm going to tell you all night long. So, same building. Have you guys taken Charleston history tours while you've been here?
Not yet.
Not yet? None of you? Well, you're going to hear about an earthquake in 1886 because every tour guide brings it up. So, I bring it up here only because this building is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. A piece of the mantle that you see, the white piece in the middle, also wraps around the front of the building. A piece of it broke off during that earthquake, struck somebody in the back of the head, and they say you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. Notice I said apparently and allegedly a lot with that story. I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so the moms on my tour aren't thinking about their kids getting sick on the tour. Now that I brought it up again, are you guys ready to go ghost hunting?
Yes.
All right, we're going to go this way.
escape room where her.
That's cool. I don't know if it's where they live in the 40s. I'm talking about the back. You did it a while ago. Oh, I got some yellow. Probably because I have the yellow.
I mean, Nick,
Yeah.
we just popped 2.6.
I got some yellow
And
stuff.
the 0.1.
She's got stuff going on with hers too, so that's good. That's verifiable right there. All right, so as I write these down, I want everybody to kind of huddle up with me over here, closer to the barn. Now, keep in mind, I'm not going to be super loud over here just because we're next to the, we're basically where we keep the horses for the carriage rides. They can hear us, so we're definitely going to keep you on mute. And with each space like this, I kind of have to pick my spot. I try to get as close up there as I can, but I don't like to be near people's cars. So we're not going to be here long. This is just, I want you guys to think of your entire time with me as kind of a ghost hunting 101. So, and you went all the way up to yellow?
Yellows, yeah.
So we're at 15 milligauss. All right, so you'll see me writing notes down all night long. With that said, this is a space where, you know, it's going to be very easy, and again, it's just a place where I can show 8 to 10 people how to use their devices so we can move on into much deeper history than ponies and football players. So, this is the Big Red Barn. Keep the horses here. It was the same Big Red Barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. So, let's talk about spirit boxes, because we have, what, 4 in play tonight? I have 6 total. I think the other 2 are still in my bag. So, 4 spirit boxes. This is not television. This is not YouTube, nor is it a Ouija board. So this is not, is somebody here? Like everybody wants to ask, right? Because if somebody answers no, that means somebody's here, right? So we're not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. In a space like this, I would say ask a question you already know the answer to. For example, if somebody's here, tell me what color the Big Red Barn is, right? Obviously, we're looking and listening for the color red. However, most of you are using song lyrics and DJs to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be in their vocabulary at that particular moment, but fire truck, blood, heart, those 3 things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer and have in the past. What color is the Big Red Barn? Blood. I'm good with that. However, most of the night I'm going to require 2 happenings going on, whether it be among spirit boxes or not, or another device, to be able to verify what's going on. For example, Tenley, let's say you actually have the word art on your word list. Still losing names. Who's Ava? Who's Ava? Let's say Ava actually hears the number 40. Individually, those 2 terms do not mean anything. Put them together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You guys see where I have to put all these clues together? A lot of these stories tonight are going to be from the 17 and 1800s, where a lot of these people had the same name. Lots of Charleses and Georges and that kind of very common names. We need to know who we're talking to. That's why I say that's a great clue. Let's wait for something else to come up to verify it. I will withhold information throughout the night on purpose. That way you guys have a genuine experience. So I will give you questions without the answers, so to speak. So everybody kind of have a gist on how your spirit boxes, you're going to operate with them. You're going to get better at it as the night goes on, I promise. Cameras, let's get into those. Kyle, you're going to try to do 2 things for me. You're doing a great job already. You're going to try to keep a person in view at all times. The reason why is because we're going to be the warmest thing out here. It's about 57 to 59 degrees average for us tonight. We're going to be 97 to 99. If anybody's over 100, let me know. I'll kick them off the tour to go feel better. So, with that said, it's going to give us that array of colors, so that way I can see those colder spots either forming or taking shape. It's a lot easier when you have something very warm in the picture. Summertime, it gets a little difficult because the ground holds on to the heat from the daytime down here. You're also going to try to keep the sky out of view. It's going to be difficult in some spaces, sometimes impossible. Do your best. The reason I say that is because that blue dot that's bouncing around the screen that you guys are all going to watch will default to the sky because it's looking for a surface. So there's no surface on the sky unless it catches an airplane. So again, that's what it's doing. So again, just do your best as far as that's concerned.
And when looking for something forming that's not us, what will the color? Will it be the warm?
It'll be blue.
Blue? Okay.
I will tell you, I have caught things, because I've had to study thermodynamics to be able to understand how that camera actually works. The law of thermodynamics, rule number 2, basically states that temperature is not generated, it just fluctuates. So that means if we have a cold spot generating nearby, that means there's a warm spot generating nearby, because it has to balance. So I have caught certain spaces growing in temperature very rapidly. I'm talking like 15 to 30 degrees within a 20-second time frame, and I focus on that because that means there's a cold spot being generated nearby. Now, am I going to go look for that cold spot? I'll never find it. The reverse thermodynamics is still proof enough that something was going on, especially if we had EMF readings and things of the like. So again, it just depends on the situation. Most of the time I'm going to be looking for blue and black.
Okay.
That's because black is the coldest thing. It's white hot, black cold. So just kind of keep that in mind. Danielle, your camera.
Yep.
So yours is going to be super easy because we're not using the lasers tonight because we don't have the full group. So basically you're just going to be a camera person. And I will kind of give you the cues. Now what I will tell you guys what I'm looking for in this camera, go ahead and point it at me for a second, and you can see me in like a purple pinkish hue, right? So I'm not looking for things inside those two circles that are on there because both lights are on. I'm looking for things in the darkness that normally wouldn't be able to reflect light. I know I reflect light. I'm looking for the ghost that would reflect a light I can't see. So that's the whole point of your camera. The other thing is keep it held up that way. If somebody gets too close and they start to bleach it out, your short range is right here. You can just turn it off, and the long range is still working for you.
Where is
So
that?
it's a red button right here,
yeah.
and it's Velcroed on there, so go ahead and play with it, get used to how it works. But that's basically how we're going to be using your camera. After the history of the next location, I'll say let's go ahead and get your video started, and I'm going to test it at first because sometimes it does like to lock up on certain nights, and I'll show you how to remedy that.
All right.
Do we have any words that have popped up, Miss Tenley?
I've had mathematics, adult, table, liver.
She's memorized the whole list. We were just talking about alcohol. When I say let's kind of see where the word list is, you're going to hit the little scroll right next to it, and it'll show you all the terms, and you can scroll like either way. You got the word devil in there too. That's cool. Gagging. He did get shot in the neck. Remember that. So and then you just hit this little button right here, and it takes you right back to the main page. Two little easy buttons. All right. Are you guys?
You just hear words?
Yeah. And I don't care what gender it comes from. I heard a guy's voice say this. I don't care about it. I care about the words that they're saying.
The only two words I've heard are error and runaway, and that's about it.
Runaway? Okay. Have you gotten anything out of yours yet?
I heard in the street, hello, and criminal mastermind.
Criminal mastermind. I think that's a cue for us to go. What do you think, Joe? All right. Let's get much deeper into history than these football players and ponies. Does everybody have a pretty great gist on how their devices work now? Did I answer most of your questions, I think?
Yep.
All right. Let's do this. We're going to head over this way.
It's important that you keep an eye on where you're walking so you don't trip, okay?
Yes.
You got anything going on with yours? Yeah. Nothing yet. That's the key word there, is yet in this space. Welcome to another beautiful site of Charleston, everybody. I brought you to another parking lot. So, I told you, some of these spaces are weird. So, welcome to the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion site. So, we actually met on the corner of Pinckney and East Bay, in case you were paying attention to that. We're going to be discussing the Pinckneys quite a bit tonight because they are all over town. But this one is a big, giant hotbed of paranormal activity for us. It's one of the reasons why I like to start this at the very beginning. So even when I adjust the tour, like, this is a space I will never lose. I love it. So let's give you the layout. The Pinckney Mansion actually sat broad against East Bay Street, so it was, went wide across. Eliza's Garden was lined up with 5 church restaurants, all the way across. And then the headquarters where we're standing right now. So just kind of keep that in mind. And yes, the property did overlap this median, but even when we start spreading out, like, I don't have any proof of anything from the slaves and servants, so there's no records of them, so we just stay away from the back of the lot. So, spirit boxes, remember, I'm not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did with the red barn. So again, it's not going to be that obvious. You're going to get the answers from your spirit boxes. So let's get into this. Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Charleses, in case you lost count. Now you guys know why I look for secondary clues all the time. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a big deal for us, but most of you are on vacation and don't care about politics, and neither do I. So let's move on. Eliza, if I don't bring it up, something normally comes up about that anyway, so I should omit it just to make sure like they're going to come to see. Remember to tell them I signed the Constitution. But anyway, Eliza, she married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So you're asking her how old she was when she got married. It's not going to be like 12 and 14. Remember, it's according to today's standards. I bring this up because her husband, Charles, was over double her age when they married. So, sounds creepy now, but it won't sound so bad later when I reveal all the answers. Now, I will tell you she got married because her father over in England thought he was dying, and he wanted to see all of his children one last time, so he was trying to get Eliza to come home in England. She didn't want to go. She didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put. It's 1744. There's no such thing as marrying for citizenship or a green card. We're not even a country yet. So she stays put and proves her point, and Dad didn't die right away. So Dad apologetically starts sending her gifts over from England to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. As Joe pointed out, he is wearing it right now. So, I'll point that out later. But at any rate, so Eliza didn't know what to do with these seeds when she got them. Or it's not always warm here, so she had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. When she experimented with it, she moved it to a plantation they owned just north of here in Mount Pleasant called Sneed Farm, and then called her father and said, hey, the rice plantations are starting to go downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. This is huge. It's something absolutely unheard of. So that's Eliza's business. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why you guys are all here, right, Kyle?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. So, Eliza was the second wife named Eliza, back to back, same year, 5 months apart. First wife Eliza dies, 5 months later he marries this one. Either really smart or really stupid, depending on how you look at it, right, fellas? Yeah.
Yeah, weird.
Now, ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. That's all I'm going to tell you. If you want to find out which Eliza we're dealing with, ask her maiden name. You can ask what happened to the mansion. It's obviously not here anymore. And then you can ask when that tragedy occurred. I'm giving you the clue that yes, it was a tragedy. You will get specific answers, hopefully. I already told you there was one child. His name was Charles, right? Center of Constitution guy. There are more. You can ask how many and what their names are, but that's it. The reason being is there's a tragedy among those children that if we poke the bear, all activity will stop, including the EMF readings that Alice is getting. So again, I've seen it go down to 0, so don't poke the bear. You'll ruin the tour for everybody. Let's see, Eliza's death, that's where she's open. You can ask her anything she wants to about her death. How old were you when you died? What did you die from? Where are you buried? And what U.S. president was a pallbearer at your funeral? If that doesn't tell you how important this lady was to our country, I don't know what will. So, again, these are all non-yes or no questions. We're going to spend a good 10 to 15 minutes in here. Just based on the amount of activity, I'll be bouncing around with all of you to kind of be taking notes and seeing what's going on. Spirit boxes, remember, if you're asking questions out loud, those answers can go to any spirit box, my audio or Kyle's audio on the video. So again, Michelle's audio is very muffled, so I don't normally count that. It's kind of hard to hear. But we are going to explore the space. We are not going to go near vehicles. We don't go in between vehicles or anywhere near them. But luckily enough, there's only like 5 cars in here tonight. We have lots of space we can work with. On the weekends, this place is packed. It kind of limits our availability. So we're going to turn our spirit boxes and crank them up high. Oh, but I wanted to point out, I brought a new little special something I'm trying out with this particular location. We have a trigger object. Trigger object is supposed to help stir up activity of something that would be familiar to Eliza. So what do y'all think I brought?
Indigo.
Indigo seeds. It's very hard to come by. I had to wait 6 weeks for them to come in. I like to give them to a spirit box, and you have the brand new spirit box. So I'm kind of wanting to see if it's going to spark some things going on with that one particularly. So again, I will ask for it back because it's not only hard to get, but it's expensive.
Can I go past this?
I would say just stay
in this area.
Yeah,
this
just
way.
stay forward.
Okay, gotcha.
Just because of the, like I said, the servant slaves. What do you got? 2.5. 2.5. Well, it goes away. That's why they call it ghost hunting. We gotta kind of go out and find them. Now, I'm gonna keep you kind of behind while everybody else, you guys can go ahead and spread out, turn your spirit boxes up.
Okay.
Let's go see what we can find. Your recording button is right here at the top. If it locks up, come and find me, whoever I'm talking to, and then I'll show you how to get it reset and then what we do about that. Yeah, it'll
your house? Do you want to ask anything? I didn't catch that.
Spice?
Spice?
Do you like indigo spices, Eliza? What?
It's a dye.
Dye, whatever. Dye?
I apologize, Eliza. What made you become the international businesswoman? Let's try over here. Wait.
Oh my gosh, how do you listen to that?
It's hard to do.
Hard.
I know, I was wondering what, like, how does it, are you hearing it in songs? Like, it's like,
I heard illness.
Okay,
That was about it.
I like that.
And then earlier I heard North Charleston.
I'm going to take out anything that says Charleston
Oh,
or 843 just because you're listening to. Yeah.
Charleston
But I like illness. That one's good. Ask her what type of illness.
I tried. Yes, yes.
Yeah, keep going.
I did.
Gotta keep going.
I
You got
Yeah, I asked which Eliza, first or second, and said second. And I asked how many children, and I asked it a couple of times. The second time I heard 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you did hear 7.
I did. And I asked her where her father was, obviously knowing it was London, but
Right.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
And I've heard a couple of other things, but I can't quite
Yeah, it's
make them
difficult.
out.
Like
It's
I
very
said,
difficult.
you're only going to capture like 12 things that are going to be decipherable.
I heard wait, so I was walking this way, and I got to right about here, and it said wait.
Well, part of the reason that I gave you that is because of his camera. If the two of you stick together, that will record the audio.
Okay.
This doesn't record by itself, so I use that guy to hopefully capture. I will tell you, at the last stop, when I first got this gang, we had pirate come out clear as day when we were investigating a pirate. Like, I mean, it came out like we all heard it, and it was on the video. So I'm like, I gotta start pairing these two things up together.
Cool.
I mean, it makes more sense to give it, you the millimeter with the temperature gauge, but this way we have a little bit more of an evidence piece. So, all right, let me follow up with everybody.
All right, let's stay here since she said wait.
Yeah.
What happened to your home?
So I asked when
I don't know why I'm talking into it. What happened to your children?
Funny because she heard me.
Yeah, over near that wall, I went to turn and walk, and it said don't look.
Yeah, she heard me.
Can you tell me again how many children you had?
Can I ask you a question? Do you have to answer the question out loud?
She's gonna start getting pissed at me.
But you think of a question as well.
Okay, I understand. I probably asked too many times. Can you tell me more about the indigo? Let's try going.
Alright, keep going, Julie. I'm keeping with my dog.
What happened to your house? What happened to your house? Fire? think she's trying. What year did that have? Did your house suffer that fate?
Can I try asking the question?
Of course.
We ask these things because we want to understand. We don't want to annoy or upset you in any way. What happened to your house?
Let's try over here. How difficult was it to cultivate indigo? Can you give me an idea of what made you successful? Like Kyle said, we're happy and we're happy to speak with you, and we appreciate the time that you're taking to speak with us and don't want to upset you in any way. Is there anything that you want to tell everyone that you want people to know about you, about your family, your business? Back to that corner that seems to be very active over there.
Alright, we got anything?
Nothing. I think she's trying really hard, but...
Just want to make sure both lights are blinking, so yeah, you're good.
Okay. I keep trying to talk into it like that's going to make a difference.
Yeah, she's not in the box. It's not a walkie-talkie to the dead.
The money stuff.
It's okay, the word profit service.
I've had 3, and then I've had 2 suicide.
Maybe this is a bit of a better spot. Can you tell me if there's anything that you want us to know about you, your family, your house, your business?
Alright, Tenley, you got anything else coming up? Because all of these words around money are showing up on all the other screen.
We're talking about and we're hearing a lot about your business. Can you tell me some more about that? I can't quite make it out. Like, you can't hear it now.
Was it a successful business? Did you make a lot of money?
Remember, we're asking for non-yes or no questions.
Yes. That's exciting. Alright.
I don't know. Julie asked how many kids do you have a couple times, so we've got 3.
Yeah,
A couple twice.
that's not it.
I heard after I asked it the first time, I heard like 4 bursts, but they weren't words. Because I asked it a couple of times. Once I heard 7, and then the first time I heard like they weren't words. It was just like count kind of 4.
Well, 4 is the correct answer to that. So it's.
So
I
no
don't want
wonder
to say like she was
she's annoyed with
signaling
me.
it like Morse code.
Yeah.
That's kind of a stretch. I like actual words.
Yes.
That usually makes more sense. It was funny because the device that Joe was using last night was giving us like Morse code in one of my locations last night, and they're like, "Do you read Morse code?" I'm like, "No." I like this. But of course, it's all recorded, so I could probably watch the video and figure out like what's going on there.
Yeah, Google Translate for that.
I like the Charles thing we have going on, and I like to end on a good note. So Kyle, go ahead and show your video. We're going to go back to the back of
Mildred, maybe.
Amy and Mildred.
Maybe.
Wow. That's not a name you hear on the radio. You said Amy, though? I'm going to write down Mildred just in case. Just in case.
JIC.
Yeah, right. Any other terms or anything else that sticks out to you?
Implication. Hello.
Definitely. How about, if you want to get some footage here, we can. So
You're
again,
on?
2-minute bursts.
Um,
All right, so let's talk about why we're here. When we crossed that last crosswalk, we came over the original Charlestown walls. Charleston used to be called Charlestown, the walled city. It was a brick wall fortifying it all the way around. We are now inside the original city, which means this is one of the oldest streets we ever had. So it's, yeah, these bricks were laid, I want to say in the 1790s, correct me if I'm not knowing the exact year. And we're going to talk about these bricks in a moment because they are very important to the space. The reason I ask for names is because people used to live down here. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived down here. The names I commonly hear, Benjamin and John, every 6 to 7 weeks. We're in that 6 to 7 week time frame right now. So there's no like pinpoint like of when I know exactly they're going to show up. It's again within a 2-week time frame. So Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. But any other thing significant about Benjamin and John? I don't. Oftentimes we'll hear John's last name, which is Johnson. So yes, his name is John Johnson. There was also an Alexander that lived down here later on, but he doesn't show up. But anyway, when I say people live down here, I'm only talking like 4 to 6 people at a time. So these 2 giant buildings we're looking at, they weren't here. So little tiny shotgun houses. They did an archaeological dig underneath the bricks, and they found some of their tools and silverware and clothing. And the people that lived here classified them as lower class. It makes sense. The other part of the wall would have been down on East Bay Street where we just came up, and the smell of low tide would be coming through here quite often. The rich of Charleston are not going to put up with that. If you've been down to the Battery, you've probably noticed the houses are skinny in the front and go long back. There's 2 reasons for that. First off, it keeps the smell of low tide out. We have piazzas here. That's a porch with a front door. So that keeps the smell of the low tide coming into the home. They would open up their 2nd-story window. Did your battery die?
Froze.
Froze? Okay. Just hold that button in the very front of it, next to the lens in the front. See the little button? It'll be on it. Yep. Yeah, you squeeze it until it shuts off. And then it'll just hit it again, and it'll turn it right back on again. And I have more batteries. We're going to need to swap you out here soon, I'm sure. But they would open up their 2nd-story window and allow the cool air from the water to come in, and cool air drops and heat rises. So it was kind of an old-school air conditioning way. It's also because they're skinny because you were taxed based on how much street side you took. So if you have a skinny house, that's less taxes. And we just left the Pinckney Mansion site outside the city walls. Their house was broad. I point that out on purpose because it's the Pinckneys. They have their indigo money and they're politicians. They have the money to pay the taxes. They don't care. But it's also because they wanted the bragging rights to show off their beautiful home. So again, just like to point out some of the architecture, in around us anyway. But here's why I think I'm hearing the same names over and over and over again over the past 3 years. We're standing on Belgian blocks. What are Belgian blocks? They're made straight from granite. If you know anything about the paranormal, you've probably heard the term limestone before. Limestone is said to stir things up a little bit because it comes straight from the earth. Granite also comes straight from the earth. Now these bricks have been here since the 1790s. They also say if stone has been in the same spot for so long, it can hang on to the consciousness of memories. It's called the stone tape theory. So if these things have been here since the 1790s, how many memories are playing over and over and over again, and I'm getting the same names over and over and over again? Again, this is stuff I can't make up. Every once in a while, a third name will pop up. That name is Jane. That's a 3rd person out of 5 that lived here in 1801. Again, no significant research shows anything crazy happened here. They're just here. Before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. So we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons, and obviously the word Freemason, brick, those kind of things, but I've also had the term Illuminati show up more often than any other term. Now, first off, who the heck is talking about the Illuminati on the radio? I don't know. But second reason, why am I only hearing it when we're here? It's the only space that I know of in my tour that had Freemasons in it or nearby. So kind of take that for what it's worth. Actually, we just had one a few weeks ago kind of showed up. I was like, they kind of chuckled when they said Illuminati. I'm like, we're going to talk about the Freemasons. Hang on. Like, don't get ahead of me. But I kind of stall in this space just to kind of see what's going to pop up with you guys as far as the spirit boxes, and it allows the recording to kind of stay here for like 5 to 6 minutes, so that way I have something to look for, again, specifically around this time frame because of Benjamin and John. Here's what's going to happen next. We're going to go to another alley. I can't take you all the way through it like what we're doing now. Why? Because you guys are the annoying group, remember? You have all the blinky lights and the noisemakers. At the end of it is considered residential. So I will tell you that reason of how I got kicked out, because it's just fun to talk about. And once we get there, I still tell the story outside of the alley, only because we're allowed to go halfway down. I told you that our tours are allowed to go to 20 people. That is a very common spot for other tours to go through, and if there's 2 tours down there, that's 40 people, and we're trying to investigate a space with 40 other people around us, and we're just interrupting them. It's not fair to you, it's not fair to them. So again, I still tell the story because we're going to stir some things up while we're there, and it's the dueling story. So if you know anything about duels, it's kind of a nutty stuff, you know, and we're going to get things wrapped around that doctor the rest of the night after we get to that space. Things just happen because we're not going to go far. After that, we're going to be talking a little bit about the myths and legends based on what you're hearing on the spirit boxes. I kind of let the evidence to recommend which stories I need to tell. If nothing shows up where I'm like, oh, it relates to that story, I go into my 2 normal things, and then we're going to deep dive into a female pirate. If you're into pirates, like, this is a crazy story. So again, it is the big finale, and it is a hit or miss location. We either get a lot or we get nothing. And Bonnie is said to be seen all over town. We're rolling the dice that she's going to be there at the exact same time that we will be. And I'll explain more about that space and why we hit that one, specifically looking for her once we get there. But I'd like to kind of give you guys the gist of why we're stalling here and where we're going to be going next. Any crazy spikes come up out of yours? Every once in a while we'll get like a 40 or something that shows up here. But a lot of times we get debunked, but you're standing in the middle. That's what I was kind of wondering. We usually debunk it by the hotel or the restaurant behind me. As we exit the alley, those of you with video cameras, you're going to stop because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to get to the next space. I'm literally taking you right on the edge of where our tour guides are allowed to take you. So just kind of keep that in mind. So as we exit too, you want to go ahead and stop it. You can probably listen to it as we get to the end just to see if anything pops up. But as we exit, go ahead and mute it again. All right, we all good to go?
Mm-hmm.
There's a test on residual ghosts later. Kennedy. The last one for sure. So we'll see if there's a Kennedy. I don't think there is, but I'm obviously going to look at it to make sure. Like I verify everything. It's trust but verify. So, yeah.
We were in Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think I've ever seen that pop up. Like I've been using that app for like 6 years now. I don't think I've ever seen it. Not on there. So I usually remember names, like they pop up all the time. All right, let's go see what we can find.
All right.
Normally I told you to go all the way up here. This whole thing.
It's not worse than what I want.
Can't see what we're doing. So. We were found by Alexander. They're calling him Mr. Alexander. Kind of like how we do that now. Like, Mr. Tom. You know, like that would have been like, which one are you calling me? My last name? Actually, he would have said surname. Is it my surname? Yeah, that's probably can't even imagine me. Like, we're going to have to do this. Every day. Something pops up.
Yeah, let's go.
That's too.
Okay.
Cool. Like, for example, a couple nights ago, some young girl on the court, young teenagers, they got different candidates.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so of course, I did my research. It turns out, as we're getting close to Charles Clinton's grave, he was very essentially an engineer. Him and his brother, Thomas, actually ran for presidency 5 times.
Wow. I love reading. I mean, I'm not going to company for several years, and now I teach it, but I saw that's why I do that, because it's fun for me. Yeah. Is it okay for us to, Julie's going to do a headache here, is it okay for us to switch devices?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I just figured
And it's Nick, not Neil.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I heard an N.
Okay.
Sound.
Sorry about that. Alright, let me see here, Julia, if I can do as good of a job as you.
Alright, I'm going to line you guys up execution style. Where are my cameras? Alright, so here's what's going to happen with those cameras. Alley, everybody. It used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where all the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So, we all tell the story of one specific duel because we can actually prove that it actually happened. So I'm going to tell the same story that every other ghost story tells, but I'm going to tell it a little bit differently because you're ghost hunting. You're going to need different clues than what they're telling as far as a ghost story. So, there was a doctor that moved down here. His name was Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. Of course, I say his name slowly so you guys all remember it and you can hear it in your spirit boxes. He moves down here from Rhode Island. Where's my Rhode Island group? So, he moves down here because his fiancée, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks the doctor's just after her money. So, yeah, you want to keep yours, like you want to hold it almost up here. That way you can shoot down the alley. Perfect. Where was I? Oh, so the doctor, to prove that he's not just after Amanda's cash, he actually moves to Charleston. He's going to start his practice down here. The coachman that brings him into town sets him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. Somebody walking by with the name Ralph Isaacs sees what's going on, and I'm going to stop on Ralph for a second. Ralph actually has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. So again, RI shows up here a lot. Remember, you're ghost hunting. Initials mean something. So when we get those letters, it's a big deal. Of course, we need a second clue so we know who it belongs to. But anyway, back to this. Ralph says, dude, you don't want to stay here. He's got a gunman inside, and he's going to try to kill you. He's like, I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there and rent a room from them, and you'll be safe. So the doctor takes him up on the offer, and the two become friends. So the doctor's practice starts to take off. He's making lots of money. He's proving his point, which means Amanda's moving down soon. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor because he whistled all the time. It's the late 1700s. It's a thing. So every haunted city you will ever go to has a ghost story of a whistler. Ours happens to be a doctor, just so you know. Now, him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other. Why? Because the doctor makes more money. He has better seats. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He's just higher society. They talk about the plays on the way home. One night they go see William III from Shakespeare, and the doctor loves the new actors that's in town. Ralph, not so much. They start arguing. Then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. It gets pretty ugly, and they go their separate ways. Ralph is from here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees the ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Dueller's Alley, buddy. Let's go settle this. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to prove his point, have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel. Ralph has his one shot. He puts it in the kneecap of the doctor, and the doctor falls. He doesn't die. His friends pick him up and they carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he died 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. Remember, he's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed it out himself. Now, here's the ghost story part of the story. They say as you walk through the alley, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. Now, keep in mind, if you go down there on your own, because the tour guide can't take you all the way through, and you turn on your voice recorders, anybody walking down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night on my way home to my garage. So I have a garage right above the Scotchman over there, and if my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first, especially since we've been thrown out. So we throw off all the other tours. We heard a whistle. It's not going to be a whistle like what you think. It's going to be very faint, almost like a wind-like sound in the background. A very quiet space. If you're a picture taker, this is probably one of the most picturesque places we have in Charleston. If you look at it right now in the middle of the night, it is beautiful down there. So here's why I got kicked out. Here's the fun stuff. So this alley didn't always come all the way through. It didn't come through on this side, which means the Queen Street side, those bricks are older. They were sun-dried bricks from slave children. 4 handprints and fingerprint swipes in those bricks from those kids turning those bricks to make sure they were baked properly. Now, I used to show off that handprint and fingerprint swipes and say we got to be quick and we're going to move on. So, that handprint is right outside a gentleman's dining room window, outside of his beautiful mansion.
Oh boy.
November 26, 2020, he was not very happy with me. He obviously had watched me several times through the night and just came out not happy. So, the next day was Thanksgiving. I did not have a tour. The next day after that, which was November 28, 2020, I got a phone call from the tourism office asking me to either reroute my tour or to only go down halfway like all the other tours, because that's our marker. It actually lines up perfectly with Lodge Alley. That's the limit. So, I decided I'm going to reroute my tour to the spaces I'm going to take you tonight. I'm going to talk about this pirate. I know nothing about pirates because I'm a vampire guy. Like, through and through. I'm not going to be digging this pirate thing. I didn't even believe the story. So I told my folks, tickets were much cheaper, by the way. I don't wing it on the tickets now. But I told my tour, like, we're going to see what happens. I'm going to tell you what I know, and we'll see what comes up. Somebody heard the name Anne before I even mentioned it. And of course, I was going to be talking about Anne Bonny. And then somebody else heard the number 300. I had no idea what that means. I go home the next day and I'm doing the research. We are there November 28th, 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th, 1720. The exact 300-year anniversary of her trial. So, I'm going to be a little bit more tactile. There you go. I know, it's exciting.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, wow.
I'm not surprised. Not to mention, we're going to church.
Yeah, that's why.
We're going to get a lot of religious terms as we get closer to St. Philip's. Just don't. I'm not surprised. Now that you heard church specifically, I'll probably be looking for the number 59. So even if a radio station comes through at 105.9, we still have 59. You guys get my point? So again, I'll be looking for that specifically. But yeah, that's basically the story of how I got booted out of this place and why I had to reroute my entire tour to where we're going next. Where we're going next, you guys can stop your video if you'd like. We're going to be going up around the other side of Philadelphia Alley, and we'll kind of see what you guys hear along the way. And again, your EMF is going to be the parking meters and that kind of thing, so you guys can ignore those little blinky lights you're getting. When we get to that space, if you guys want to start recording on your videos again, you can. But it's a very busy corner up there, so a lot of the tours like to go up there, so we'll kind of pick our space and just stay out of the way of everybody else. Again, I don't have a whole lot of friends in this industry, as you can imagine. So I have the gizmos and gadgets, they don't. They have dowsing rods. Alright, let's go see what we can find. The duel. It was a shortcut to get to the cemetery behind me, because remember, the alley didn't go all the way through. They would have had to go all the way down Queen Street. You guys seen how long it was? And then back around this way to bring the body to the cemetery. So again, I call that the death gate, and not all the other tours know what that gate is for or why it's even there. But I found that somewhere, and I was like, I'm keeping it. Like, that's just the way it's going to go. All right, so let's have a seat here. You guys can tell me what you guys heard, what you found on your spirit boxes. Are you getting used to what's finale? And it's their show and tell. I let them have it. I am going to tell you the story anyway, just because it kind of relates to a lot of our history. So there's two sides to this cemetery. Yawns already? Come on. History's not that bad. So
I'm old.
I'm just getting fired up. So there's the eastern side that if you're from Charleston, you can get buried on this side. So Charles Pinckney is buried on this side. That would actually be the husband and the nephew. So they're both buried over here. And as far as the other side, if you're not from here, that's where you go. Your 7th Vice President, John Calhoun, is buried across the street. You can't even say buried because it's a sarcophagus. They didn't know which side he was supposed to be on because they weren't sure if he was from here or not, so they just shuffled his sarcophagus back and forth until they figured out he goes over there. So that side is usually open during the daytime. You can walk it because there was a Vice President there. But again, I would tell you that Calhoun is not well-liked here in Charleston. Obviously, he was a bigot and a racist and all kinds of other things. So they actually just ripped down his monument during the BLM riots that we had down here. So it was a pretty big deal. And I'm friends with the group that actually owns the land where that monument was, and I was trying to get out of them, like, where are they taking it? And they wouldn't tell me. So it's kind of a secret. They didn't want it to be destroyed. The cool thing is in the base of that monument, because it was 100 feet in the air, and the base was giant. So there was a time capsule in there.
Oh, neat.
It was super cool. And me as a treasure hunter kind of guy, like, I was all about it. Like, there was a lock of Calhoun's hair, there was money from that time period, some documents, like, really cool stuff.
Oh, neat.
So, and it was actually a myth around Charleston that it was there. Like, we didn't know for sure. So when they found it and discovered it, I was like, oh, like, they did a whole big newscast. Like,
that's cool.
It was a live feed. You know, it was really cool.
I like
But anyway, so again, they're all going to go up to that gate. Here's why. There's a sign inside the gate that says, there's no ghost here, but the Holy Ghost. It's a church. They don't want guys and people like us going up there trying to recreate what actually happened. So, here's what happened. 1888, a young lady, and I'm going to give it to you brief. We're going to turn it into a 10-minute story, just so you guys know. 1888, a young lady dies by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. And I told you initials matter. What's Sue Howard Hardy's initials? It's cheesy, it's corny, very campy, I know. But if I hadn't seen it and heard it from myself, again, she loves to show me her initials. I don't know why. But anyway, Sue, she dies 6 days after her stillborn child. Very abrupt ending. Local photographers taking pictures of all of our beautiful cemeteries in 1987, 99 years later. He captures a full apparition in one of his photographs.
Oh, weird.
It's 1987. He doesn't have the tech that we have now. So he sends it to Kodak. For you younger groups, that's where we sent our pictures to get help. So, Kodak can't debunk the picture either. The picture is cursed. For guys like me, this thing is gold, because you're going to see how clear this thing is. It is cursed to females. Females that handle it, even in a digital format, get the same symptoms like what I told you about at the beginning. The headache, the nausea, the dizziness. I'm going to ask everybody, don't touch my tablet. So even if we get something wrapped around Sue Howard Hardy in the evidence that I find tomorrow morning, if there's a link to show you to verify it, it will have a warning that it is a cursed photo. Pregnant females are not going to have a good pregnancy based on the gist of the story. So it's not going to be where I'm going to have some couple comes down and has a great vacation, and 9 months later I get a phone call because I ruined their life. Again, I cursed their family because they touched my photograph. So again, just don't touch the photograph when I bring it up. I'm going to go right down the line so everybody can see it, because again, this is all part of your training, your ghost hunting training. You need to see an apparition. So an apparition actually means to appear. So this is the full photo. That's the apparition.
Weird.
You're looking at her back,
Yeah.
top of her head, and the baby basket next to her, and that's Sue's grave right there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's...
pretty clear stuff.
Jeez.
All right, so we'll do the three of you together. This is the full photograph. Your apparition is right here. You're looking at her back, the top of her head, and the baby basket next to her. And this is another instance where the baby is probably buried with the mother, just so you guys know. So you already have a headache. I'm almost scared to show it to you.
Oh, it's okay. I get headaches all
So
the time.
that's her shoulders. You're looking at her back with the baby basket right next to her. I almost had a headache right next to her. Full photograph.
Oh, wow.
So of course it looks weird, and then when he blows it up, kind of looks at it a little bit further, you're looking at her back, praying over her own grave with a baby basket. Again, even when you zoom in on that baby basket, you can see the weaves a little bit more clear. Like, it's pretty crazy stuff. But again, I let them have that. Like, that's their deal. But I will point out that there is a light that you can see that's going over the cemetery. That light is pointed right at the sign to deter any cameras from trying to recreate this. However, my cameras are super rad, and they can pierce right through whatever light they're trying to throw at me. So, again, normally if the cameras are out and we're investigating across the street, sometimes the camera people will ask me if they can go across and get some footage. And it's your tour, go ahead. Don't run away with my camera. So, again, you're not going to get your footage even if you do that. So let's get your mindset going on pirates. So, across... You look down the ways there, down. Oh, there's a husky. Did you tell me? Yeah. Sorry, I'm a big dog person. But anyway, there's a burning gas lamp up there. That's the pirate house. It's got a big anchor on the front of it, so when you guys are walking around town, you'll be able to recognize it. However, somebody does live there. Don't go in his backyard looking for ghosts. He gets angry too. So don't ask me how I know these things. But anyway, that's where Blackbeard's men used to come off their ships, have a place to stay, meet with a few ladies, and they dug a tunnel underneath the pirate house going 1 block away to Dock Street Theater. Dock Street Theater at the time was called Planters Hotel. It was a whorehouse, a playhouse, and a hotel. We're talking pirates, the whorehouse was an attraction. But pirates were our first stagehands. They would go there for the playhouse, make a few dollars in between bartering with the locals. So again, that tunnel is not a myth. They just filled it in the 1990s. Like, again, why the hell did it take them so long? We're below sea level here. Like, it probably flooded all the time. So, again, I don't understand it, but whatever. It's not my city. Tenley's like, where did we find this guy? He just keeps chuckling quietly over there. It's hysterical. We're going to talk about the other side of piracy, which is the captors real quick, and then we'll go deep dive into Anne Bonny. So, across the street I told you is where everybody else is buried. Close enough to the sidewalk, there's a sarcophagus. There's a sarcophagus close enough that you can actually touch it from the sidewalk. It is that of William Rhett. William Rhett did a lot of things for South Carolina, but he did capture gentleman pirate Stede Bonnet. So, gentleman pirates, basically, he was called that because he bought his way into piracy. He wore a wig on his ships. Blackbeard kept him aboard because he was a joke and he kept the morale up. Everybody made fun of this guy. He was a joke. But anyway, when Stede finally got his own ship, he got obviously captured by William Rhett. William Rhett turned him over and the crew to Chief Justice Nicholas Trott. Trott decides he's going to hang the crew on White Point Garden to and show other pirates, don't come to Charleston. You will be hung. So, rumor has it that you can actually get the hauntings from those pirates down in White Point Garden. I've investigated it dozens of times. There's nothing there. I don't care what any tour guide tells you. It's a very cool story because pirates were hung there, but I get nothing. I actually call that blog post and podcast episode Silence at White Point Garden because I get nothing. It is a very beautiful place. Last night I had a couple on there. They were like, "We're doing we're renewing our vows there in 2 days." I'm like, "Well, good luck." Like, part of the reason we're doing this is because it's haunted. I'm like, "It's not haunted. You're fine. There you go. Don't curse your own marriage." I know, right? They were a fun couple. But anyway, we're actually going to head across the street. I mean, you guys are laughing and stuff, so you're not falling asleep on me. That's good. All right, let's go deep dive into Anne Bonny and see what we can capture across the street.
You doing okay?
Mm-hmm.
Something.
I did too, but it's something J something.
J something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. We're going to talk about 3 J somethings here. All right, I'm trying to put this indigo away just because I feel like I'm going to lose it if I don't. It's been in my pocket this whole time. Just want to say, while I'm putting this away, guys, like, this has been a fun night for me. So when I have a fun night, like, that says something about you guys. There are groups, like I said, that my skeptics come in and just bring me my negative Nancy energy, and I'm like, it's going to be a stuttering night as I'm trying to appease everybody. But you guys weren't like that. That was very cool. So anyway, welcome to the Powder Magazine. Yes, I know it's another parking lot, but we're actually going to be getting close to that building over there. I like to start over here because all the other tours like to show off that building as well. You're going to realize why here in just a moment. Some of the, this is kind of a lengthy story, so you'll see me speed up my speech a little bit, but pay attention to some of the keywords that I slow down on for you Spirit Box folks. So the Powder Magazine. We're here because we don't have many buildings that are in the same time period as the pirates. Like, this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. So those crosses on the building, those are earthquake bolts. We're talking about the little tiny building in the front over there. Earthquake bolts, if you don't know what they are, they're basically turnbuckles. If we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, which we haven't, you can turn those turnbuckles and it's supposed to straighten the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. It's a stupid idea. I talked to a lot of Californians and they're like, yeah, that stuff hasn't worked in decades. And it never really did. The reason I bring it up, those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in. Why? Because it's the oldest government building that we have. So again, that's why it's important. And it's just a fun fact. It's the first set. And they're very crude. You'll see once we get up there, they're not even evenly cut. They're not, it's very, they're off a little bit. Where that parking garage across the street sits now, that's where the Charlestown Wall went up that we talked about earlier in Lodge Alley. It went up Cumberland Street, and it went up past the Powder Magazine and started going south behind me, towards the Battery. It locked the Powder Magazine into the corners of the walls on purpose. They're trying to protect the gunpowder. So if it gets attacked from a Revolutionary warship or a pirate ship from 3 blocks away, because that's where the water is, it's going to have a hard time penetrating the 32-inch thick walls. Like, that's how thick they are. But we're going to pretend that it does. The cannonball comes through it and blows right through it and blows up the gunpowder. There's sand in the roof, still there, from 1710 to 1712, before it's finished construction, that's supposed to explode in the air and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. The sand's still there because sand doesn't disintegrate. When they did the repairs back in the 90s, they figured out that the sand was still there. By the way, that's another great idea, but that doesn't work either. So we had another Powder Magazine closer to the Battery. It did get attacked. If you know our geography, it's much skinnier down there. It got hit, the sand went up, and the building burned to the ground. It doesn't exist anymore. This one's just never been attacked, so that's why it's still here. It is a museum now, so if you're into artillery and the wars that it served, there were 7 different wars that it served, including the Civil War. That was its last service. So, again, very interesting building. It's like, if you ever need to get out of our cold or our heat, you can go spend the $5 and take the quick 30-minute tour and either cool off or heat up a little bit, like warm up. Beautiful space, by the way. Love that place. So we're here because Anne Bonny was actually coming here during that same time frame. Now, this building took 10 years to build. A small building, 10 years? Does that sound like our government? No, not at all. So, in the middle of its construction, 1708, a young lady named Anne Cormack moves here from Ireland. She's with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. You guys with me so far? Okay, there's a lot of twists here. The 3 of them are running away from his wife.
Oh.
How mad was she that he had to get on a boat from Ireland to land here? So, just saying. I have an ex-wife. I could see that happen. Now, they land in Georgetown, just north of here. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to be able to sell anything from the plantation and keep things afloat. That's why we're here. By the way, this is all what I call a familiar. Again, not many things around Charleston are going to be familiar for this time frame. It's kind of like using a toy to attract a child ghost. It's the same principle. So, Anne back home in Ireland was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was like 9 or 10 years old with a knife to the belly. So again, kind of keep that in mind. I want you to have that mentality through the rest, back of your brain. No subliminal messaging here, I promise. But anyway, we're going to fast forward. Building's done in 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne is stoked. Why? Because she's going to fall in love pretty quickly. First guy's name is James Bonny. This guy, Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. So they run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonny, the most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Now, when they get down there, this is not the swashbuckling, rum-drinking Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. He's a privateer. He's a coward. He's a spy for the British. This is not who she wants. A few years later, she falls in love again. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. We're going to call him Jack through the rest of the story. Told you lots of J names. So, she heard the letter J on the way in. Jack has his own ship and wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on the crew because girls curse pirate ships. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like the guys and hide your gender, you can be a female in my quarters and part of the crew. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to hide her away from his wife. She's good. She's a pirate. Let's go. Let's put 2 and 2 together. Female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. It's not going to work. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a female. So he drops her off in Cuba before she starts the show. He says, have the baby here. These are friends of mine. Come back later. We'll figure it out. Like, that's his game plan. Very smart, right? So she goes and has the baby, comes back with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. Remember, Anne's kind of a badass. She wants to be a pirate for the freedom. So she's also dressed like a girl. This makes Jack pretty mad. Anne doesn't give a damn anymore about hiding her gender. Jack just captured another pirate crew, and they're down below deck. We're on guy number 3, in case you guys lost track. The guy she's flirting with, down below deck, because she's trying to make Jack even more angry, turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females dressed as males on the same ship, trying to do the same thing to be pirates. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. And Mary, she convinces Mary to become part of the crew, and they become friends, possibly lovers. We're not sure. We're never going to be sure. So, with that said, the British find out where they are. This is where it gets funny. The 2 ladies are the only ones not drunk enough to come up and fight against the entire British fleet. We have 1 pirate ship trying to take on a British fleet by itself, with 2 ladies leading it with 2 flintlock pistols, basically shooting 1 bullet at a time. Obviously, they're going to get taken. So as they're being arrested, Anne looks at Jack and she says, you should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog. So the word dog being prominent here. So the judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. I know I mentioned Nicholas Trott across the street. My name is very prominent with the judges. I don't know why. It's not Neil, it's Nicholas. Just calling you out there.
It's all good.
I actually think I did pretty well with all the names tonight.
You called me Michelle once. It's Danielle, but it's okay.
Oh my God, did I?
Yeah.
I had a Michelle on my tour last night. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
See? I screwed up too. It's not bad.
It's all right.
So, the judge, Nicholas Laws, wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly because Calico Jack and this drunken crew, they're already dead and gone and hung, like they're dead. So the 2 ladies go in front, they reveal their gender. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates. We plead our bellies was the last thing they said, meaning they're claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delaying the hang. So, Dad is still here in Charleston. He bails out Anne with his Irish money, brings her back home. She remarries. Guy number 4. Husband number 2, don't ask. Craziness, because remember, she was only married to James Bonny, because Calico Jack tried to buy the dowry. He refused. I'm kind of getting in the middle of this, but this is guy number 4, or lover number 4, husband number 2. Has 4 children and dies at the age of 84. I know, all of my stories end in very abrupt death. That's what we do here. Now, as far as Mary Reed, she dies a year later in 1721 in the Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. I'm sure it was bumpy and gross and scurvious and whatever else adjective you want to come up with. So, we don't know if the pregnancies were true. We have no idea. So, here's where you guys have already been through enough spaces where I'm not going to give you too many questions. I left 2 things out on purpose, and there's too many holes in this story. So you can ask whatever you want to. The 2 holes that I left out are the name of Anne Bonny's parents. That's the father and the mistress. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship on purpose. So, You can ask what the ship was, you can ask what Anne Bonny's parents' names are, you can ask anything else that you want to. I just wanted to leave 2 things out so that way you guys at least had something to start off with. I told you at the beginning that people have passed out on my tours, and I've gotten sick. This is one of those instances where it's actually relative to the story now that you know it. Back in September, I brought my group back here just like we're standing, and the kid next to me goes white as a ghost. I mean, drops like a wet noodle. I catch him by his armpit, and I take him over to that wall over there. His boyfriend's on the other side of him. We're basically dragging him. I send the boyfriend over to go get him a bottle of water, because at least the kid's talking. He starts to feel better. I then tell the story. Keep in mind, they don't know the story yet. So, it's fine. I send everybody out to go play with their devices, and they pull me aside. We have to tell you something, Nick. Like, what's going on? We are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary, on my tour.
Oh, weird.
And it completely made sense to them as why one of them felt sick as soon as we entered the space. We actually had quite a few clues come through the spirit boxes that night, so it was definitely active, and they were perfectly fine with me retelling the story as long as I left their names out, which is perfectly legitimate. It's part of the story at this point. So again, that's why I give the heated warning. I will tell you psychics and mediums when they come on my tour, because I do see a lot of them, they don't make it past the Pinckney Mansion. It's too much. So normally they'll pass out. I mean, like a wet noodle, they just drop. I've had to call the EMTs and paramedics quite a few times during these tours on nice, cool nights like this, where they got too hot, somebody's heart starts pounding. You know, it's one of those kind of instances. That's why I give the warnings that I do. The first time somebody passed out on my tour in the first year I was doing this, I was like, oh snap. I was in CPR class the next day. Like, I'm waiting on a new first aid kit because things expired, and I'm like, I gotta keep a first aid kit on me at all times. But anyway, we are going to explore the space. Those of you with cameras, if you want to go to the front of the powder magazine, you have to exit the lot and make a left. Just I ask that you don't interrupt the other tours. EMF readers. So this is not the Pinckney Mansion where things are going to be going nuts. If you get anything, I'll be super excited. Pull up that motion sensor. This is where it was all flickering, crazy Morse code kind of stuff last night. So we'll kind of see if we can recreate it.
It's flashed red.
You got red already? That's crazy. There's like the only way you're going to get any EMF is if you get close to those bushes up there, because we're going to get feedback from the parking meters. So again, kind of keep that in mind. The closer you get to the bushes, the more readings you're going to get. That goes for your ears too, Joe. It'll pick up. Not to mention we have 2 giant poles on either corner of the lot. So they're just past the bushes there. We are going to end over there on that wall. Based on what you guys are telling me, this is either, like I said, it's a hit or miss. So we either get a ton, or we get nothing. So we'll kind of know within the first 5 to 6 minutes, and then we'll wrap things up and kind of take a look at what we have. But I'm going to go to the wall and have a seat because you guys wore me out. Tenley, your laugh is great. We haven't heard it all night, but we all felt it. Great. I am so sorry I called you. It's a big deal to me because this is a personalized tour.
It was Calico Jack's ship that we don't know the name of, right?
Yep.
What was the name of Calico Jack's ship? Sweet?
Sounded like sweet.
Yes. That's what it just said. Yes. Sweet, yes.
Sweet?
Anne, what happened to your baby? Died? Anne, what happened to your baby? I can't understand it. Let's go over here. Let's go over in this corner. And what was your dad's name? And what was the mistress's name? I don't think she wants to answer that one. Anne, how did you feel about Mary? Love her? Anne, how did you feel about Mary? How many other children did you have? How did you feel about being a pirate? How many people did you kill? How many people did Calico Jack kill? I'm going to ask you again, what was your dad's name? Where were you originally from? It's saying stuff, but I can't really make it out. You want to move over here?
Yeah.
I don't want to drop this thing. How many ships were you on?
How was your experience in Cuba?
I heard something.
Tell us about Cuba.
You don't need to shout into it.
I did not mean to shout.
What was it like being in jail? Why didn't your dad bail Mary out too? I know this is a yes or no question, but I have two yes or no questions. Were you and Mary lovers? Did your dad know about you and Mary? Yeah, that's what those stars are for. Why is that woman screaming? She's a little much. I can't tell if she's fighting with someone or if she's a tour guide.
No, she's fighting with somebody.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Or on the phone. I don't know if it's somebody in person, but...
Oh, super. Anne, how do you feel about the veil between the living and the dead? There's a lot to say about that. I just don't know what it was. What happened to your first husband? What happened to your servant? These are hard because you have an idea in your head, and that idea seems to like proliferate and kind of make it hard to understand what is actually coming through. I can't I can't make it out, but it's obviously saying stuff.
I just heard it, but I don't know what it was.
Yeah. What was Jack's ship?
No? Okay, then it was going crazy over there.
It's not that sensitive. Like, it's sensitive.
The first time it said sweet, right?
It will go crazy.
Cause?
Yeah, to prove your point, turn my phone on.
Sweet cause.
See how close I have to be, the further away I get. Yeah.
Hazard?
I got buried alive. Ocean, Jimmy, and
It's because she has earplugs in, I think, or earphones.
James, buried alive.
What was the mistress's name?
Betsy, did you get anything out of that thing yet?
So when I asked what the ship name was as we were walking across, it said Sweet, and then I asked Sweet, and it said yes.
Okay.
And then when I just asked, what did it say? Like I heard Hazard.
It was hard to make out.
I heard it said a lot of things, but it's
hard to make it out.
Make them out.
Yeah,
but
it's not an easy one. None of
I
the
heard
spirit boxes are
Cause
easy.
at one point.
Cause?
Cause, yeah. It was Cause and then Hazard. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, you can put that thing like, constantly just to make sure it's not coming from your movements.
I asked what happened to her baby, and I'm fairly certain I heard dead.
I think that's a fair assumption, considering we're 300 years ago.
I'm having.
Yeah.
That's what I'm afraid of.
I was waiting for the double sevens. Awesome. So let me explain.
I don't know what to say.
The double sevens show up here often. First off, I like to point out we hear the number 7 here quite a bit. There's a couple of reasons. I told you that this place served in 7 different wars. So if we hear it once in another relation to the Powder Magazine's history, we obviously have a verification. If we hear the term presidential or the name John, we have John Calhoun, our 7th vice president, right there. So you would think that that's the double sevens, but no, there's more. Philadelphia Alley is only 1 block away. What do you think his birthday is? July 7th, 7-7. Happens here, I can't tell you. You can flip through every tour I've ever been through, and it's all there. Double sevens, almost, I would say.
That's really the only thing, because everything else is so hard to make out.
It just gets shut off on its own.
You broke it?
Maybe.
That's glad I got a sense of humor.
Yes. Any significance?
That's probably our cue to call it, I think. What do you guys think? Yeah, battery's half-life, so it just went off by itself.
Yeah, when she said I got 77, it shut off.
Oh.
Any significance to Caroline?
I don't know the names of the children. There's no record of that because she went into hiding after her pirate career. We're going to leave it on for a few minutes.
4 children, you said after, but she went to hiding. They don't know who the kids were?
No.
Oh, weird. Was
Don't
it
even
here,
know.
though? Did she live here? Or
It's a possibility. One of the rumors say that she stayed here, and then had obviously some kind of hidden burial. Other rumors will tell you that she went to Virginia after she married the second husband.
Maybe she became Caroline.
I want to say, because even as a pirate, she had like a different name when she was trying to be a guy. I can't remember exactly what that name was, but I want to say that she changed her name altogether. Like it was like Annabelle or something like along those lines.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And we have the yellow motion reset. See if it goes back. Probably bring it motion. Okay, I say we head to the wall. See if we can, let's put all these pieces together and kind of see what we got going on. All right, picture pages time, everybody.